Hey everyone, this is Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's gonna be my episode 31 AEW Fyter Fest. I thought it was called Fyre Fest, but it's called Fyter Fest. So, um, man, it was a 4-hour special. I honestly thought it felt like a pay-per-view. Some of the matches weren't that great, but some of them were really good. Um, I guess this is them trying to either compete with the NBA Finals or possibly try to compete with WWE because they do have like a big event coming up this weekend. But either way, we got 4 hours of wrestling. Um, and it pretty much, this week started off with Tony Schiavone calling out Will Ospreay to the ring. There was a recap of what happened last Wednesday on Dynamite. I guess after off the air or whatever the case was, you did have, Will Ospreay trying to talk to Swerve and tell him, hey, we're on the same team. You got to kind of get over yourself. We're trying to make sure that we win. And then from there, we can battle it out for who wants the title. So you see kind of Will Ospreay kind of switching up. He looks like he's getting really pissed over the situation with Swerve. But he did ends up saying throughout that segment that, you know, I want you guys to be on the same page. And then after that, you guys can kill each other, then renew your rivalry type of deal. Um, he does end up calling out Swerve pretty much like Swerve. If you're not going to listen, I'm going to put you in your place. So they do have a match the following Dynamite. But then from there, out of nowhere, he gets interrupted by the Crew with Leo Rush and Action Andretti. I thought he was going to possibly wrestle Andretti, but Leo Rush kind of calls him out saying, hey, Andretti just wrestled in Japan, but I ain't got nothing to do. So that's me and you run it. And then Will Ospreay's like, no problem. He goes, like, you got some frustration in you? He goes, I'm going to beat it out of you. He goes, I'll go put on my crime fighting pants later and I'll wrestle you in the second half of this show. So Leo calls him out. The match is later on in the night. Right after that, though, you have Mox versus Mark Briscoe. You had like a little video package or vignette from Briscoe saying that, his kids were looking at him weird after that match because daddy let you gave up. And he was like, son, I never gave up. He goes, you win or lose in life, but he goes, you never give up. So for him, it was more like trying to get the respect back from his son. He put up a pretty good match with Moxley, but again, the numbers game. You had Marina Shafir interfere. You had Yuta interfere, which the crowd was pretty much saying, fuck you, Yuta, to him. Um, Honestly, I don't know how Yuta could see. His hair is so far down, covering his eyes and his ears, almost his whole fucking head. I don't know how he can see, honestly, and be safe about it. But Moxley does win that. He does end up getting a submission. To be honest with you, it was like a weird, awkward submission. He had him in a rear naked choke for the longest time, and the camera kind of like spanned away from it. And then out of nowhere, the ref's like, no, go ahead, ring the bell. So even though it was a submission, or maybe he passed out, didn't see it up close. So I really don't know what happened. Don't know if maybe Briscoe was injured. I know he was busted open somewhere throughout the match. So that was kind of weird, but because I didn't even see when that happened. But Moxley takes that one. Again, non-title fight. Would have been nice to see Briscoe win, but it makes sense to make your champion look strong, especially going into All In Texas. So pretty decent match. Kind of expected the way it was going to go. Moxley was going to win in interference, like always. The next match was you had Timeless Tony Storm with Mina Shafir, kind of I guess her new sidekick or her girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, with Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Makes sense for Sky Blue to come back and get with Julia Hart. They were together before. But pretty much you had the CEO, Mercedes Monet, on commentary. And she was like taking selfies of herself. She had a big ass steak on the plate, trying to eat that, drinking wine, or at least it looked like wine. So it was like she was interested in the match. There was a few times when Tony Storm was actually in front of her, and she was like looking at her like, "Yeah, get out of my face," type of deal. Gets taken out by Sky Blue from behind, and then you see her kind of like laughing at, even picked up her phone almost as she was recording it. So there might be a video of her getting attacked by Sky Blue. She'll probably post on social media or something. So we'll see. Um, but the girls end up pulling it off. Did actually everybody looked really good in this match, to be honest with you. Sky Blue looked good, even though they beat up on Sky Blue more than Julia Hart. She is Sky Blue is kind of the I would say the Robin of that group, if that makes sense to anybody. So she was taking the beat down the majority of the time. Um, but Mina and Tony Storm were actually doing their thing, doing a lot of what's it called? Like, I guess tag team combos, if anything. But it was a pretty decent match for the four girls. Yes, Sky Blue took the loss, but in all, it was a good match. After that match, they did get attacked, and they pretty much just have it out. And Mina says, "You good?" So yeah, she walks away. She goes over to Mercedes Monet, who's there, and she kind of like pushes her out of the way, grabs her steak, and starts eating her steak. And then you see Mercedes Monet like, "That's my steak. That's my steak." And she's got like wine dripping down her face, and she was like, "No problem." She goes, "I'll take the meat," and just pretty much ate her steak. Even I saw her throw some into the crowd. So that's going to be actually a decent match. Like I said, I was excited for whoever won, her or Jamie Hayter. Either match is going to be a good match, so we'll see how it plays out. You did have though a segment with Will Ospreay had a like a I guess a backstage segment or an interview with Renee, and out of nowhere, MJF again shows up, and Will Ospreay gets face to face with him like, "Yo, dude, like just stop." Like he's trying to get into his head. He's like, "Yo, just leave it alone." But MJF has a point. He was like, "You've never beaten the Cowboy." He goes, "Even me, I've beaten the Cowboy at least once." He goes, "So you haven't beat the Cowboy. Every time you wrestle with him, you've lost. So you can't do it." Pretty much saying you're not good enough. A lot of people online are saying they want the Will Ospreay of old from New Japan, kind of like the evil version when he first came over, or the heel version when he first came over when he teamed up with Dom Callis. So a lot of people are wanting that. He is showing a little bit of that, honestly. Like he's been getting really agitated, really upset, really mad lately. So his facial expressions and mannerisms are changing. So I think at some point, Will Ospreay will turn on someone. Don't know who or when, but I feel like he's going to turn on somebody. It may be Swerve or maybe, you know, Hangman, because technically Will Ospreay only has one singles loss for 2025. So if depending on how everybody falls on the losses, he has a loss against Hangman, who's the champion, but he's beat every other opponent. So technically he should be one of the first people in line for a title shot. So it could be, even though Hangman wins it, Will Ospreay would be the one to take it from him. Don't know exactly how they're going to play it out. I still feel like the Cowboys going to win it all in, but we'll go from there, guys. Um, you did have the Hurt Syndicate when Will Ospreay was talking to him. He was kind of face to face with MJF, and they were about to go into it. They kind of surrounded him, and pretty much it was like big brothers looking at the little brother type of stuff. And Will Ospreay kind of looked shook with his facial expressions, like, "Oh man, like I didn't expect y'all to be here so fast." But you did have what's it called? A kind of like a face to face with Bobby Lashley and Will Ospreay. Now that's a match I never thought I would see, to have those two guys in a match together. Yes, it's going to be strength versus speed or agility versus speed, but it's going to be a decent match between Bobby Lashley and Will Ospreay whenever that happens. I definitely see it happening soon, just don't know when. You did have after that, you actually had the Hurt Syndicate go to the ring, pretty much say, he pointed out to every person of the Hurt Syndicate and was like, "Hey, I'm MVP." Everybody cheered. "Hey, that's Shelton Benjamin." Everybody cheered. "Hey, that's Bobby Lashley." Everybody cheered. "Hey, that's MJF." And everybody booed the shit out of him. Like, and then MJF got on the ropes like, "Man, fuck you guys, screw you guys, whatever, man." Um, so it's kind of funny, like how the dynamic, even though he's with their group, the fans still hate MJF. So you did have there pretty much not Bobby Lashley, MJF MVP rather, was saying, "Where are all the good tag teams at? This is AEW where the best wrestlers are. The best wrestlers wrestle. Where is everybody? We beat everybody you put in front of us. We knock them down." So then from there you have Commander, you have Kevin Knight, who I'm really high on, happy to see him back from the New Japan tournament, and Speedball come out and pretty much give their piece. Commander's really upset with MJF because right before that, MJF was talking shit about Mexico, saying that the only reason why the arena in Mexico sold out was because of me. I'm the youngest foreigner to do it, and I'll do it again next time. And Commander kind of curses him out in Spanish, like, "I'm going to show you what luchadors do." Speedball, I think he was talking French, but I'm not sure, so we'll leave it at that. And then Kevin Knight kind of goes, hey, what these guys are saying is we're stepping up to the plate. So those guys did have a match. Pretty much they said, hey, if you win this match, we'll get y'all next time. So the four of them walk out, and then, they go into the ring. You had the next match was Speedball Commander um, versus the group of Roosh, Mortos, and I forgot the other guy, Dralistico or something like that. Um, but there was kind of an interaction with Roosh and Bobby Lashley as they were coming through the curtain almost at the same time. They kind of like bumped into each other, and Roosh was just like, I ain't moving. Like, you crazy. Like, I ain't doing that. Um, but great match again. They're calling them Jet Speed because Kevin Knight's nickname is Jet. So they're calling them Jet Speed, and you're calling Jet Speed and Commander did a really good job. Everybody looked really good in this match. They are building up for that Grand Slam in Mexico, so this was really luchador heavy today. Um, a lot of luchadors throughout the night. Some that I've never seen before, so it was nice to see. They are working with that other. I think it's what, CMLL, I think it was. Yes, or yeah, CMLL, I think it is. So they're working with them for, the Grand Slam in Mexico. So it was nice. But before that match, one thing I forgot, MVP did call them guys, hey, I'm looking at the cheap Power Ranger and show enough. Funny as hell. But it is what it is. They did say, hey, you guys won. After that match, Jet Speed and Commander won. Say, hey, since you guys won, we're going to give you guys a shot. So the following week is going to be Bobby Lashley, Sheldon Benjamin, and MJF versus Kevin Knight, Speedball, and Commander. That's going to be a pretty good match. Yes, I still see the Hurt Syndicate winning, but I still think it's going to be a good match. Kevin Knight, man, I've missed you on TV, dude. You are doing some crazy shit. Your moves are insane. You and Roosh have great chemistry together, honestly. Yeah, there's a nice little rivalry you guys got over the $100,000 you cost Roosh or whatever. But it's a pretty good rivalry, honestly. Like, you guys are doing your thing. Um, Decent match. Everybody was hitting their spots. Yeah, there was some times that things were a little slow or awkward, but you guys pulled it off. I feel like it was a really good match. So building for, again, Mexico Grand Slam. So can't wait to see that. But we'll see how that goes. Um, you did have again. Adam Cole was talking to like Danny Garcia there, like, hey, we got your back. Do you have ours? We're gonna go after the Don Callis family. And he was like, yeah, I got your back, but I got my eyes on other things too. And he kind of looks at the TNT championship. So Danny Garcia is gonna be chasing it. Don't know if he's gonna turn on Adam Cole, but we'll see. I feel like Adam Cole's storyline right now, that group, the Paragon, is kind of slow, but that's me. Um, you did have Christian Cage kind of talk up Nick Wayne. Oh, he came back from the Super Juniors in Japan, but he didn't win. He came short, and pretty much praising his son and then talking down to his son. But he was like, but a champ never takes a day off. So tonight you're gonna have a 4-way with a certain amount of people. And then he says, also, we have another surprise for you, but we're gonna worry about that later. So I think the surprise is gonna be possibly bringing back Luchasaurus maybe to wrestle him, but we'll see how that plays out. So the main event of the first 2 hours of the night was you had Kenny Omega versus Brody King versus Claudio, and I think it was El Dorado, if I'm not mistaken. So if I got that wrong, my bad. But I think it was El Dorado. You did have it was a decent match. Brody King had new gear. Honestly, he looks better in the pants than he does in the trunks, but that's his attire. He can wear whatever he wants. Um, Great match. Everybody was doing their thing, especially El Dorado and Kenny. They were having a really good back and forth, backflips, spots. They were doing really good against each other. Had great chemistry. Um, but during the match, a lot of the guys kept teaming up on Claudio. So like once the match started, three of them just beat down on Claudio, made sure they took him out, and then the three of them started to wrestle. Brody King, like always, a monster in the ring. Like I mentioned last week, I didn't see Brody King winning this match. Nice to see him in the match, getting a chance to show himself. But all in all, this was a really good match. Kenny does take the win for long story short. But it's again with another luchador in a match, building up for the Grand Slam in Mexico, getting people's eyes on that show makes a lot of sense. Building up, 2 weeks from now to have another awesome show there. So can't wait to see it. Um, you did have After the win there, Okada comes out, kind of spoils his celebration, and they get into each other's faces and they start pushing each other. And out of nowhere, they each have their title and they shove it into each other's faces. Like, I see one guy's face going like this, the other guy's is getting pushed back. So they are going to definitely wrestle. Just announced also an All In, winner takes all. Both championships are on the line, so can't wait to see that happen. So I've been hearing online that they're going to say, they're going to either merge the two titles together or just winner takes all, and that's kind of sounds what they're doing. They're going to merge the titles or winner takes all. Kenny or Okada's going to have both belts. I feel like the Young Bucks are going to get into it. Honestly, another run in, but we'll see how it plays out. You also had Ricochet from there pretty much have a segment saying that he's looking for his own team, he's looking for his own group, so he's going to be like studying people throughout the night. So Ricochet does do that later on in the night. You had Matt Caster's 5-minute challenge. And to be honest with you, he had a good pop in Denver. Um, they were actually saying his chant, Max Caster, best wrestler alive, and they were doing it for him. You saw he was excited, but he is a heel, so he goes, "Come on, guys, y'all could have did better than that. That was okay, but y'all could have did better than that." But it's actually funny, like it's catching on to certain people. I don't see it happening everywhere, but in Denver, they were behind him. But after he says, "Put the 5 minutes on the clock," the Titantron boom 5 minutes, and you also had the 5 minutes in the left corner of the screen on the TV. And who comes out? Powerhouse Hobbs. Jeez. Even Max was like, "What the fuck?" So Hobbs come down, his music played, but Hobbs came down from like I guess the backstage area or down through the crowd and pretty much just beat him down. I think he beat him within like a minute and 30 seconds, a minute and 40 seconds. You'll see the picture up in the corner there. But he beat him, pretty much slammed him, took him out, and easy win. Easy win for Hobbs. Commentary was saying though that since he started these little challenges, he's like 0 for 10. So it's not working out for him. Um, it is what it is though. You did have that match there with Leo Rush and Will Ospreay finally. Um, Good match, honestly. I think Andretti would have been nicer to see because we haven't seen him wrestle in a while. But Leo Rush and Will Ospreay were doing well together. Leo, his little like bobbing and weaving throughout the matches was pretty nice. He's pretty good with that. They're both of them really fast and agile. But long story short, Will Ospreay does take the win. He does get attacked by the crew. They start beating him down. Hangman comes in. Hangman for the save. And then it starts into the next in his segment because he was supposed to speak anyway. Hangman pretty much goes, "I'm gonna win. It's my destiny to win. I'm gonna win it all in, no matter what. It's all about me." He goes, "I see what you're doing, Will. I appreciate you have my back. I have your back, but I don't need nobody's help to win this title. I won it before by myself. I'm gonna win it again by myself. I especially don't need Swerve's help. After what he did to me and my family, I don't need nothing from Swerve." So they're still building up the animosity towards each other. I can definitely see after Hangman wins, Swerve may be his first opponent, just to get that rivalry out of the way, kind of kill it from there. So we'll see how that works out, honestly. But I do see Hangman winning and possibly Swerve being his first opponent. So we'll see how it goes. Another emotional segment or promo, but Hangman's doing his thing right now. I definitely see Hangman winning. Hopefully, he doesn't turn heel because I'm tired of seeing. I feel like all the world champions right now are heels, so it'd be nice to see a face win it at least for a little while. You did have again a lot of matches, a 4 hour show. You had the Don Callis family versus Atlantis Jr. and Templado, I think his name is. So it was actually a really good match. Templado's actual outfit looks pretty cool. His ring gear, his mask looks nice. His tights look nice. He reminded me a lot of Rey Mysterio, to be honest with you. Similar build. I think he's a little bit taller than him, but similar build. Did really good. He looked like a really good wrestler. So again, just putting those luchadors in matches this week to build to Mexico, Grand Slam in Mexico. So it made a lot of sense. FTR versus those two individuals. might have made a mistake on that, but FTR versus Lance Jr. and Templado. But FTR actually looked good in that match. FTR was actually their old school style of wrestling, to me, mixed well in with the high flying aspects of the luchadors. Like they were doing really well against each other, almost as if they worked this out before, which is possible. Some people go over their matches, or maybe their time in Mexico when FTR was the AAA champion. It's possible that they were just worked well with other luchadors, so it just made sense. You did have again, FTR did pull this one off. After the match, though, you pretty much just saw like Big Stokes or Stokely Hathaway, whatever you want to call him, pretty much was like shocker, shocker, shocker. FTR wins again. And he pretty much says FTR is the most winningest tag team, that they beat the most tag teams, that they have the most tag teams wins over tag teams that are there now and been there in the future. So pretty much saying that no one's on FTR's level. So it's pretty crazy. You have the Hurt Syndicate over here with the tag team champions, and you have FTR over here. They're keeping them away from each other because they're both heels. Technically, they're both heels. But in theory, FTR has been winning every match that they got back, so they should be first in line for the tag team titles. So not sure how that's going to all mingle and work together, but it is what it is. After the match, though, you had like Dax was out and looked like he was actually arguing with someone in the crowd, almost like, here, come over the gate, come over the gate. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So don't know if he was just playing his heel part up or he was actually upset with the individual who was out there. Maybe they said something to him and he took it personal, but Dax looked visibly upset. Not sure how that was going to work out. Honestly, I think if somebody would have jumped the barricade, they probably would have got their ass whipped by Dax and Cash there. So fans, there's a barricade there for a reason to protect the wrestlers, but it's there to also protect you. So, don't push it. Um, you finally had the match with Nick Wayne. It was Nick Wayne versus Sammy Guevara versus Lee Johnson and AR Fox. Now, this match, Nick Wayne was saying, "Oh, the last match you gave me was um lightweight. I ran through that with Rhino. I'm gonna do the same thing this week." So this match was actually pretty good. Like I mentioned before, AR Fox can work his ass off. He can sell his ass off. The Denver crowd, I'm not sure if AR Fox is from that area, but the Denver crowd was definitely chanting AR Fox. Like they were feeling AR Fox. And you can tell visibly that he was feeling the crowd as well. Um, AR Fox can sell his ass off for anybody. Like I mentioned, I feel like he's the Ricochet of AEW, and I don't mean that in a bad way because Ricochet was really good in WWE. AR Fox was doing his thing, hitting people with hard moves, doing his thing. Every one of these guys looked good in this match. Nick Wayne kind of comes at the end though, steals it. You did have again, holy shit chance throughout the entire match because it was just high flying. AR Fox again could do his shit. Then he did like he ran off the ring post, did a backflip into somebody. Again, AR Fox, you're a beast. I wish you can get more time, maybe more speaking time, more airing time. Maybe you'll be the one to work with Ricochet because Ricochet did come out to that match to try to like see who he wanted. Maybe he'd be the person to work with Ricochet. It could be Lee Johnson and Blake Griffin. Maybe those guys can work, or Blake Christian rather. Maybe those guys can work with Ricochet. But he was definitely like again hunting for his team. But AR Fox, you did really well. Great match by you. Great match from all these guys. Sammy always puts on a show. Lee Johnson, haven't seen too much, but Nick Wayne, Sammy, and AR Fox definitely built this match. Lee Johnson was doing all right in this match. Can't say nothing crazy, but good match and all. Nick Wayne does take the win. Christian Cage takes the title again, but he does place it on his shoulder this time. He doesn't throw it to the ground like he did the previous time. You did have that one match with the Toxic Spider, Telica or Thelica. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. She debuted against Lady Frost. Haven't seen Lady Frost in a while. I think she's on the Ring of Honor side though. Um, Decent match. They did show her strong as hell in this match. To be honest with you, um, not sure if she's going to continue to feud with Jamie Hayter. Excuse me, guys. Not sure if she's going to go ahead and continue her feud with Jamie Hayter because she did take her out the week prior. But the Human Spider did beat her by submission, beat Lady Frost. Then Lady Frost came back strong for a little while and pretty much lost. I think it was like maybe a 5-minute match, but just showing that she's pretty much won her debut, and she's there to put a stamp on the AEW women's roster. Maybe she'd be the one to win the TNT title after Mercedes Moné drops it or relinquishes it, but we'll go from there. You did have a match there at the end that it was like the Don Callis family with Esito, I think it was, versus the Los Outrunners. So the Outrunners have like a luchador gimmick. I'm not sure if this was just a copy off of what Chad's doing in WWE, or they were trying to copy off of Hulk Hogan when he used to be the American version of a luchador way back when, because that's what he looked like with his hair. Not a Hogan fan. I'm just saying that's what these guys look like. So don't be mad at me. But this was a pretty okay match. You did have fuck Don Callis like always. Kyle looked good again. Strong moves, strong heel. Definitely leaning into that. I mean, even when the Don Callis family came out, you had um, Kyle come out by himself with Don Callis, and you had Sheeta come out with the other guy, Esito again. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but they're definitely building up Kyle. Like I mentioned, I see him being a TNT champion sometime in the future. So we'll see how they build that up. Could be even world champ at some point. But again, a lot of heels winning titles. Let's keep at least the world title or something to that effect to a face or a baby face, whatever you want to call it. Um, Good match again. These guys were just bouncing off the wall, working well together. You saw that Kyle wasn't able to communicate with his luchador partner there, but he was kind of like telling him, "Hey, go over there," like telling them. So they did manage to work it out. Bandito, you did have Bandito there, looked really good. I think he had some new ring gear, looked kind of like an Aztec warrior, but still with his kind of like bandana over his face. So pretty decent match. Um, you did have in that match itself, you did just have a lot of stuff going on. To be honest with you, this was a lot of wrestling. Wish this might have been on the weekend or Saturday, to be honest with you. Being on a Wednesday having a 4-hour show was really rough. I think after I saw Kenny, there was a few matches that I was interested in, and then after that, just fell short. I know they're gonna have the same thing the following week, but hopefully they have better matches. But I will say, I feel like this show was better than Saturday night's main event. There was only like 5 matches, and only really one of them was something that I really wanted to see. So, in all, guys, you did have AEW Fyter Fest, 4-hour special. A lot of wrestling on a Wednesday. Was up pretty late. But other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.